Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 5. We are graced by a number of guests. You can see them down here in the corner. On today's show, we're going to be talking about race strategies. We have a couple of new segments to debut, as well as a couple new videos to debut. I am even going to show you some footage from yesterday's Los Angeles Marathon before I even post the race video. It's going to be incredible. We've got amazing guests, Chris Vargo, Sally McRae, and Billy Yang. Welcome to Ginger Runner Live. Ginger Runner. What's going on, everybody? I just realized, literally as I started the show, it's live streaming in my bedroom, so you're going to hear the audio coming from my bedroom like 30 seconds delayed. What's going on? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, the show where we talk about all things running, endurance, and have a lot of fun in the process. Today I'm drinking Wolf Amongst Weeds IPA from a local brewery, Golden Road Brewery, and we are joined by guests Chris Vargo, Sally McRae, and Billy Yang. Let me introduce them. Here's Chris Vargo. Chris, what's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Tired. Traveled today.
Yeah.
Excited, though.
Sally McRae, how are you?
Hello.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. And Mr. Billy Yang.
Good to see you again, buddy.
What's up, man?
Hi, everyone. Hi, internets.
So, literally, I have to go close my bedroom door because that audio is ridiculous. This is not how I wanted to start the show, but I'm going to have to do it anyways. Let me do it with the beer in hand. Let's go down the line. What are we drinking tonight on the show, guys? We'll start with Chris.
I'm just drinking Noon, Grape Noon, out of a Pocket Fuel water bottle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Sally, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water out of a cup with a straw.
Good job. Billy, what are you drinking?
As my friends know, I hawk alcohol for a living, and I was recommended this great bottle. I believe it's pronounced Ode English H800. I don't know if that's a year, but I thought I'd bring some class and give Ethan a drinking buddy. No, I'm such
Fine,
a
no.
We're into
That's amazing.
Scotch IPA.
Good
one of my
choice.
favorite beers out of Utah. It's just the right amount of hops, fruit. I mean, it's absolutely delicious. So highly recommend.
See, I always thought it was Hop Notch, but I'm looking at that bottle and it says Hop Nosh.
Oh, you know what? It does say Hop Notch. I thought it was Hop Notch too.
Maybe they have two different types of brews.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I appreciate you being a drinking buddy. You chose a very delicious beer.
Yes.
Though I would have liked to have seen you duct tape the 40 to your hands and finish it in the time of this episode.
Like college all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, I apologize for having to go and run and close my door. I'm really excited for today's show. Not only because we're graced by two talented runners from the Nike team, Chris Vargo and Sally McRae, but now we have Billy Yang on the show, which I'm really excited about. He's a buddy of mine. We're all part of the local SoCal running crew that we have kind of become to be known as. We don't really have a name yet, but we're trying to come up with one. Chris Vargo's obviously not SoCal, but he's an honorary member. So it's really awesome to have you on the show, Billy. Yesterday we both ran the Los Angeles Marathon. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. And Chris, I think we need to start the show talking about your big race that occurred Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now looking at a world champion, way too cool 50K winner, a man who can complete a 50-kilometer distance with over 4,000 feet of elevation gain in 3 hours and 17 minutes.
16.
What?
16.
I broke 3:17.
Yeah, it's 3 hours 16. Alex got 3:17.
Okay, were you closer to 3:16 or 3:17?
Yeah, I round up. I round up, buddy.
Still 3:16.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so it's 3:16:59.9.
That was like 3:16:50.
Okay, we'll give it to you because I think that's a big enough accomplishment where you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. Amazing performance. And that got me thinking about today's show. I want to talk to you specifically, Chris, about how you went into Way Too Cool, Did you have a strategy? We won't get into the interview quite yet because I want to do something before we do, Chris. So just think about these. Did you have a strategy going into the race? Did you execute your strategy according to your plan? I know that a lot of people talk about don't have a race plan, or at least don't plan on following a race plan because you never know what can happen. So I want to talk today about creating a race plan that you can stick to during a race, and not just for ultra distances. I'm talking marathon. Billy and I ran one yesterday, so we can talk about that. Half marathon, maybe even shorter distances or longer distances. And of course, we have Coach Sally here as well, so she can help with that. But before we get started in that discussion, Chris, because you won, I feel like anytime anyone that's a guest of the show or a part of the show, Chris, you've been a good part of the show since the very beginning, we have to celebrate it.
Yes.
Because winning a race is a big deal, especially winning a race with such a stacked field. You ran with Alex Varner for a large portion of that race. He's an amazing runner. You beat him in the last kick. I mean, essentially you beat him in the last kick. So to celebrate Chris Vargo, I have edited together a little video of footage that Sally shot on her iPhone vertically. So let's just point that out in advance. Like an amateur. But I wanted to give you the ginger runner treatment, so here's a little video of Chris Vargo running the Way Too Cool 50K.
I'm gonna cry.
All right.
Aww. So awesome.
Yay!
Yeah, yay!
Thank you.
So amazing performance, Chris. Honestly, I'm in awe. You finished a 50-kilometer fast, like not quite an hour, but nearly 45 minutes faster than I ran a marathon over mountains. It's insane, man. So big ups to you. Everyone in the chat room, give Chris some cyber high fives. That sounds kind of rapey. Touch Chris inappropriately if you ever get a chance to see him. So Chris, we can all chime in here, but Chris, I want to talk to you about, here we go, the graphic. Creating a strategy for your big race, whether that's an ultra distance, a marathon, a half marathon, anything like that. Going into Way Too Cool. This is your second race of the year. What did you do to prepare for this race differently than Sean O'Brien, or what did you have in mind going into this race that helped you pull off the accomplishment that you did?
Well, there were a handful of fast guys, but I mean, I knew it was going to come down to Alex, my Nike teammate, and I. He's a U.S. 50K trail champ. He laid down a really fast course record at Bootlegger 50K, and I think he's won every race that he's running. Every 50K at least he's won.
Wow.
So knew it was going to be quick. It was funny. We just met. That was the first time we'd met, but we had been talking on. Whose phone's ringing?
That's my phone. Just ignore it. Honestly, I can't control my house. I can't control anything that goes on here.
Anyway, I just met him when we got out to California because we did a podcast together, and he was instantly just a really a cool guy, nice guy, and we both knew that we had very similar strengths. We knew it was going to come down to both of us at the end. We just didn't know how it was going to happen. So from the gun, we took off. Within 8 miles, we were, Sally, what were we, like 5 minutes ahead?
At least. I thought you guys were like 7 minutes ahead, but
yeah, so,
nobody in sight, just within the first 8 miles. Ridiculous.
Yeah, so the first 8 miles, we probably averaged around less than 6 minute pace with about maybe 800 feet of climbing, 1,000 feet of climbing.
Okay, and I want to point out that, Sally, you were there. You were in Cool, California, supporting Chris. You're also helping Trail Runner Nation, the podcast, out, right?
Yeah, I was like co-announcing, and then we did 4 live shows, and then checking out the Western States Trail. So lots of stuff around the race. But awesome, I got to crew Chris for about 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, we saw that in the video. We saw your little bobble hand.
That was it.
Yeah,
really, Chris. Really quick, Chris. Are you telling me the big shirtless guy that took off like a jackrabbit wasn't able to maintain that pace? Because I thought he had it in the bag.
He does it. He did that last year, and he tries. Apparently, his name's JD. Apparently, his goal is to lead the first 100 meters of every race that he runs. So he goes out hard. I don't even know where he ends up, but I mean, I probably beat him by an hour and a half, maybe.
Okay.
I don't even know. I haven't looked, but yeah, every time he just bolts off. But we actually caught him really quick. I don't think he made it 100 meters.
He did. I watched all the footage that Sally shot, and he probably beat you for a good half mile, Chris.
Did he really?
Half mile, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't really paying attention to him. Alex and I were just chatting it up so it's like a mile-long road to trail, and we were running like probably 5:20, 5:30 pace.
Jeez, okay, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
And talking and laughing casually, because I'm on the media truck, and I can just hear them talking. I'm like, they need to be quiet, preserve their energy.
Yeah. It's not. I guess it's not that hard for us, but so we trained for.
Right, but okay. So going through your head within the first couple of miles, you already know that you and Alex could potentially win this thing.
Right.
So was it your plan to stay together? Did you talk about this pre-race, like, hey, listen, I'll help you out, you help me out, let's at least get to the distance that we can support each other to, and then push it?
Well, that had been brought up, like, what if something happens? Are you going to help the other person out? And we both were like, yeah, we would help in any way that we can, whether it's, water or goo or anything like that, or grabbing stuff at aid stations. But we both did mention that we were going to key off of each other. We just didn't know what we were going to do. So we both follow each other. We follow each other's training. And he's been training, because I came off of Sean O'Brien and I was sick, so I didn't have like a huge ramp up going into like a peak 10-day. Ian has me do a 10-day peak.
Okay.
So in my mind, I was like, shit, man, this dude's training like way more than I am. He's going to be stronger than I am, which was good. I felt like crap going into the race, which is always a good sign for me. So yeah, we started off. I didn't feel that great for the first half. I would say was probably not the greatest until we hit the big climb out of the canyon, and we started motoring up that. We got up that really quick. There was one point where we were running up the climb at 7:20 pace, like up a steep climb. There was tons of water, tons of mud. It was fairly slippery. The Kiger held up really nice on that course, though. Dried off super quick. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we keyed off of each other. He would lead, I would lead. He would lead, I would lead. I was descending better than he was, and I was climbing a little bit stronger. But he could fly on the more like gradual downhills or gradual uphills. Is really fast on that. And I let him kind of lead for probably the last, I'd say even last 10 miles. But at 10 miles to go, we came into an aid station. I rounded a corner, just tons of mud. I slipped, fell down, put my arm down, snapped my water bottle. The strap snapped off, so I was like, oh shit. I'm not gonna have any water. I threw it on the ground and like drank a bunch of Sprite really quick and water, and I ran without water for the last 10 miles of the race.
So you didn't pick up the water bottle and just hold it in your hand. You didn't even want to deal with it. You
No,
just
not at all.
basically went on 10 miles without any water.
Right. It actually felt good running without a water bottle in my hand.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So.
And it had a benefit.
Yeah, so it came down to you cross Highway 49, like you know where Jeff Rose comes out in first in Unbreakable. Snapped off. So I was
Right. Yeah, from the movie. Yes.
That's where we started picking up the pace even more, and he tried to make a little move on me, and I stayed right on him, and then came up over the climb, and there's this little ridge that was really rocky and kind of technical, and I just bounded down it and had momentum. So about, 200, 300 meters to go, I just started kicking and turned around and put about a 25-meter gap on him pretty quick, and right then I knew that I had won and just kind of cruised into the finish. So
yeah, so I mean, it was an amazing finish. We were watching live here in LA. A lot of the local crew was watching it live. Did Alex just not have enough gas left in the tank, or was he just at that point like, Vargo, take it? I mean, did you guys talk to each other at all in that last mile? Did you know what was going to happen?
No, I could tell that he was breathing pretty heavy. His breathing got like really, you could hear it. And I'm like, all right, I got this. Because my breathing was fine the whole time. I really coming down from elevation is huge. And once I started hearing his breathing heavy, I was like, yeah, I can do this. So, yeah, he said he just didn't have a kick at the end. He actually had stomach issues throughout the race too. Like 4 miles in, he had to go into the bushes really quick, and then I kind of would let up and run a little bit easier because I knew he was going to catch me. So I just let him catch up. And then one time he was gone for a little bit, but then he bridged up to me. So I think he did exert a little bit more energy having to stop those times. But I don't think it really affected him too much. I just think I had a little bit more than he did. I mean, overall, we're pretty much an identical runner. You even watch us run with each other.
Yeah, your strides are really similar.
Same cadence. Like, it was almost like, I don't know, it was weird when we were running. We would hit same steps every time going on some of the less technical stuff. But
you guys should date. You guys should totally date.
No, he's a great runner. He's a great guy. It was fun talking to him during the race. Last 10 miles, we didn't really say one word to each other. More of like, someone would roll their ankle, and it was kind of like, you all right? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's roll.
Keeping it real simple, little communication as possible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about nutrition. I've talked to you about this in the past, but I know the viewers definitely want to know. This is actually the topic that I wanted to do tonight, but then I realized, wait, no, we have to celebrate Chris's victory, and we should definitely talk about Billy and I running the LA Marathon yesterday. Nutrition. What did you do for this race? What was your plan going into it? Did you stick to it? Did it work?
I did. I usually do the same thing. Pasta. I made sure to eat a ton of pasta. Like, I stuffed myself with pasta at about 6 o'clock the night before.
I want to interrupt you. I have to shout out in the chat room. Sam Guerreau says, Vargo does not run. The earth just runs away from him. I would love to start seeing people do these Chuck Norris-style Chris Vargo comments.
Yeah. Nice. That's funny.
So pasta the night before.
Pasta, yeah. Just I like rice pasta a lot. It's easy to take down, and just plain. I like Amy's pasta sauce, which is really good. And I put a bunch of cheddar cheese in it too to get some fat. And I ate a ton.
Sally, you love fat. Sally, you love it.
What's that?
Yes.
Sally loves fat. I was just calling her out. She loves cheese and fat.
Oh yeah, cheese is amazing. I mean, before North Face, I ate like a whole bag of shredded cheese. So
I hear Colt.
Colt approves.
He's outside.
People were talking in the chat room about we need more Colt, and we were expecting Chris to let Colt out at some point, but it looks like Colt's already outside, and Chris is going to have to let him in at some point.
Well, I leave the back door open. It was 71 degrees here today, so he's been chilling outside. I'll get him on here in a second when he comes in, but I'll just let him bark at people as they go by. But yeah, I ate pasta, and then in the morning, I took a half a slice of bread, almond butter, and that was it. In noon, like hydrate all week. I would try and drink. I have this thing, this Clean Canteen. It's 40 ounces, like Billy's drink. But I would drink 3 of those a day.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot, maybe even more than that, just leading to the race. But
yeah, I think that's really important. People forget about that, hydrating all week, not just the 2 days before, but you have to hydrate. I would almost say 2 weeks before if you're not good at it, because your body needs to acclimate to that much liquid in your system.
Yeah, and I think it actually really helped me in the race. I mean, I started with a little like 12-ounce bottle that I handed off to Sally, and then she handed me a 20-ounce bottle. And I drank maybe, Sally, what did you say, maybe half of that little bottle in that first 8 miles?
Yeah, there was still liquid in it. Yeah.
And then when I fell, I'd only drank a quarter of my big bottle. So I think I was super hydrated going into it, and I train. I don't really train with water that much, so I think that actually helped. And I thought about that when I was running. I was like, well, thankfully I've done that. So
what did you do food-wise during the race?
I used V-Fuel for the first time.
Ever?
No.
Okay.
I trained with it a little bit before.
I was gonna say.
But I just wanted to kind of experiment with it, running or racing. So it worked out pretty well. Pocket fuel. I like pocket fuel a lot, but the consistency is just really hard to take down during races, and I think they're kind of working on that right now. But the V Fuel is good. It's got a little bit of fat in it, and it doesn't have a ton of sugar. So, and I took maybe 1 or 2 GU Roctanes that they had at the aid stations, and I took down Coke at the last 2 aid stations, maybe. Didn't stop at the last aid station because that's when we started like winding it up. Yeah. And I drank noon for water.
Nice.
Yeah. So
it's actually pretty simple. You didn't actually do anything too complex. You kind of stuck with the plan that you've been training with. Super
simple. Yeah. It's a relatively short time race. So 3 hours and 3 hours 16, 17 minutes is really not that long of a time to be out there when you look at what we do for like training runs and whatnot. So you could almost do it with not that much fuel. I didn't hit a low point at all. I didn't hit
no bonking, no nausea.
Not even close to anything like that. Was so strong. Like climbing, I could rip up the climbs, no problem. It was like flawless. It was weird. It just worked out really well.
I think that's just a sign of proper nutrition, hydration, and training for the weeks leading up to a race. I think that's your body telling you prepped perfectly for this moment.
Yep.
And you didn't do anything out of the ordinary, I'm guessing. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you stuck exactly with what your plan was, and it just worked out.
I do the same thing. So my routine is I fly in, I land. I make 2 almond butter and jelly sandwiches to bring with me. I land, I go and get my rental car. I sit in the rental car and I eat the sandwiches really quick.
Yeah.
Because you have that. There's so much travel time. Just takes. It's hard to eat during that, so I eat those real quick. I take pocket fuel down, and then I'm fine to wherever I'm driving for like 2-3 hours, before I can eat. So that's my routine. And I rested really well, so it was good. Yeah, I always question my resting. I always feel like I'm resting way too much, but it works out. So
that's actually another big key for training is resting. So Chris, if anyone has any questions for Vargo, I want to make sure that you can ask them in the chat room. We've got both Billy and Sally kind of monitoring the chat room, so if there's any questions and they pop up, But Billy and Sally, just jump in if you see one, because we want to make sure that we ask Chris everything. I know there's a lot of people talking. Well, I already saw another quote from Eric Zek. Vargo is so fast, he ran around the world and punched himself at the back of the head, as he does. Now, Sally, I want to talk to you in just a second. I'm going to talk to Billy, but Sally is, I would say, the only one of us that has actually run 100 miles on the show today. So I want to talk to you in just a second, Sally, about how maybe creating some sort of race strategy for a 100-miler will differ from what Chris did for a 50K or a 50-miler, because I think that's really important. So before we get to that, Billy ran the Los Angeles Marathon yesterday with myself. It was actually pretty funny. He saw me from the start line. He was standing 10, 15 feet behind me, and you just hear him go, "Ginger!" And I turn around, and Billy's like, "Whoa, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh my God." Out of the 25,000 people, Billy is standing 10 feet behind me. And I ended up making a pit stop at a porta potty. I had to go pee real bad, and Billy was running by. As soon as I exited, Billy was running by, and it was like, "Hey!" And we ran together for like 15 miles. Yeah. Billy, I want to talk to your experience, or talk to you about your experience at the Los Angeles Marathon. But before we do, I have a video to show you, my friend. This is a world premiere of footage that I shot at the Los Angeles Marathon.
Awesome.
Is this what I think it is?
It is. It is what you think it is. So no one has seen any of this footage yet. I will be editing together a Los Angeles Marathon video, which I'm really, really excited about. It's the first time I've done like a full Ginger Runner production at a road race. We're talking about race nutrition and sticking to a plan. Leading up to the race, I believe Billy tweeted or texted us the night before saying, "I'm drunk. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Fuck this. Can't wait." Billy, did you really get drunk the night before?
I probably couldn't get in a car, and if I got pulled over, I probably wouldn't take it home. By legal definitions, I probably was intoxicated, but I mean, we'll go into all that later. The why and the.
It's the complete opposite strategy of Vargo's.
I love it, man. Yeah. Big deal.
Everything you should not do, I did.
But what's great is I think that kind of carried over into his race day strategy. Yeah. Here's the video, some footage from the race. I think it'll explain itself. Here we go.
No, not at all.
Love it.
So I don't know if you saw that, or did you guys hear it okay? No one said anything.
It was a little choppy on my end, but
okay. That's definitely the G plus thing. So Billy, there's an aid station. I don't want to call it an aid station. I'll call it a hot dog station at mile 6 or 7 that just serves free chili dogs. Billy went and grabbed a chili dog and basically ate the whole thing. How did you feel right after that, Billy?
You know, it was funny. I was just, I mean, we kind of ran as a group, and I am going to kind of preface this by saying that it wasn't a kind of balls to the wall, all-out marathon. I think I had it in myself that, you know, it's a marathon I run every year since 2007, which was my first one. I was just kind of taking it easy. I figured I'd, you know, run it with some friends, and if I felt good for the last 10K, I'll, you know, push it a little bit harder. But I was just complaining to my friend Lori, who I was running with at the time. I was like, God, you know, I'm kind of hungry. Yeah, I had like a little bit of oatmeal in the morning, maybe a piece of banana, and I was like, I did not feel up well at all, and my usual cup of coffee. So when I saw the chili cheese dogs lying out on this little cart, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not taking this seriously. If I have, you know, if my stomach doesn't agree with it, so be it, and I'll, you know, jump in the bushes somewhere. But as it turned out, I mean, it was absolutely delicious. It was probably one of the best chili cheese dogs. And I did not finish the thing. I had like 2 massive bites, consumed about half, and then ended up chugging the rest. But yeah, that's the.
What's great about that point in the marathon is that there was just a massive squashed hot dogs and chili on the road. People obviously had grabbed them and been like, oh, great idea. One bite, oh, never mind. And the entire marathon course just ran over it. And the second half of that video was the cheer station. There's a big cheer station at mile, I think that's 17 or so.
It's officially called Cheer Alley, yeah.
Cheer Alley, yeah. Just cheerleaders all the way down. I was like, oh, of course I got to film this. So I'm filming the cheerleaders. And at the very end, there's just a bunch of cops. And in my mind, I'm going, I know why they're there. And that is appropriate. So, of course, I had to get them on camera. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the LA Marathon strategy. It sounds like, Billy, what did you go into this race strategy-wise with? Did you have one?
No, I like I said, this was one of the. I try not to sandbag it too much, but especially a race that costs this much. But I think it was more important to me to keep my streak intact. Like I said, it holds a special place in my heart because I'm a native Angelino and because I love this new Stadium to the Sea course so much. Highlights the best of LA, and really, I just kind of wanted to run with friends, and I wanted to, there was Joe McGee, another friend of ours who we ran with for most of the race. It was his first LA Marathon. I wanted to show the course off with him, and just really, and Paul, our friend Paul Grimes, who had just ran Way Too Cool the day before, flew down.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and was doing this as a double, and I wanted to run LA with him, and my friend Lori, of course, from New York City, and with you. And, I mean, how was the race experience for you? Because I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. I thought the spectators were fantastic. I thought the course was fantastic. I know it got really warm out. I believe it topped out at like mid-80s. There were people passed out. There was a lot of attrition at the finish line towards the end. But that aside, I had a fantastic time. So how did the race go for you, Ethan?
No, I totally agree. I think I approached this race. I have gorged 50K in. We both do, Billy and I, in 2.5, 3 weeks. I think it's actually 3 weeks. I've been saying 2, but I think it's 3.
Yeah.
So I went into this as just a long training run, a nice organized training run, and you obviously did the exact same thing. So I didn't go out for speed, no PR. It was just running the course. But my strategy was run smart. You're running in heat. I knew that there was going to be some sort of heat element. We hadn't really acclimated to the 80-degree temps. So I knew that I just wanted to stick with hydration, and I used Tailwind nutrition, which is the second time I've used Tailwind in a race. I just kind of wanted to stick with liquid nutrition and see if that influenced my race in any particular way. I wanted to not necessarily rely on the aid stations because with the road race, you're dealing with aid stations every mile. So you really don't have to run with anything. You don't have to run with a bottle. You don't have to run with gels because they're there to take care of you. So I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to carry my own stuff and try to deal with that. I was also negotiating the new camera setup that I have. It's this new extended pole thing, and it was working okay, but I didn't have anything to put it in, so I had to kind of stash it in my hand or stash it in my pants. And I was trying a lot of new things, which was fine. It just turned into a much hotter day than predicted, so I slowed my pace considerably. I think the middle part of the race, the very beginning, I was very conservative because that start, I forget that the LA Marathon is it's 25,000 people starting at once. There's no staggered starts. There are corrals, but they start all of the corrals at once. So you're literally pushing through 25,000 people.
Yep.
Which can be really cumbersome because you're dealing with a lot of first-timers. I think there was 1/3 of all race entrants this year were first-timers, which I love. I think that's awesome. People running their first marathon, especially the LA.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people to negotiate through, so you just kind of have to take it back a notch. You don't want to be the dickhead running through the big crowds. So I took the first 6 miles pretty slow, and then the second part, when I was running with you, Billy, for that large section up until like mile 20, was just a nice, fun pace. I had a blast running with you guys, and running with friends, I think, is another pretty crucial part to a really positive running strategy. If you're racing and you're going for a win or racing for a PR, it's one thing. But if you're just running to have fun, surround yourself with people that you enjoy, because I think that took the miles away so much quicker. Even though it was 15 miles, I think we ran together.
Yeah.
It felt like a fraction of that. So I think that played a large part.
Yeah, and I love road races for that reason. I love it for the the obvious distractions. You can make conversation with people along the way. You know, I think you and and hello, at least half a dozen people, while I was around anyway, came up to you and was like, "Hey, Ethan, Ginger Runner, hey, I'm so-and-so, you know, I'm a big fan, blah, blah, blah," and I'm sure you'll touch on that later, but that was cool. I mean, you don't get that.
That was awesome. Yeah. I will talk a little bit about that later. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Overwhelming.
It actually got to a point where me and my friend Joe kind of set like an over-under on, okay, from here to the finish, how many more people are going to approach Ethan? Awesome. And we you know, wagered a beer or something. But it was. I mean, it's. I think having Ethan out there and having him do a road race for a change versus, and I know he films a lot of ultras, but I think that was cool. I think I can't wait to see the video. I think you'll get a whole different vibe. It's fun. It's fun when a city comes together, especially a race like the LA Marathon where it involves many different municipalities, kind of like New York, and they all have to kind of work together. And it's the best of humanity and people helping each other out and people cheering each other on. I mean, it was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it.
I totally agree. I think it's my third LA Marathon, and it's definitely not my last. I had a blast. I think it's a really well-organized race. To be able to shut down all of LA to run from Dodger Stadium to the ocean is incredible.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about LA Marathon. Billy, stay in the chat room. Stay with us. If you see any questions from the LA or for you or for me in the chat room, let us know. We'll just there's Colt. There he is. Sally. Sally McRae. Let's talk about.
Yeah.
We were just talking about like the marathon distance and sticking with the strategy. I think this will also apply to what we want to talk about with you, the 100-mile race strategy. How does that differ? How do you have to approach it? I mean, just mentally, I imagine it's a completely different ball game. You do have 100 mile.
Sure.
Do you have 100 mile this year? You're doing AC? Am I wrong? I'm sorry, Western States. We'll just talk about Western States. I think that's a perfect example.
So more specific.
Let's talk about that. What's your strategy?
Do you want me to talk about like strategy in general, like my philosophy or opinion on the training between like a 50 and 100, or just?
I would say because having you as a coach on here as well, I think that's really important. So yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about going from the marathon to the 50K 50 miler and how that's different, as well as how it's different from the 50 miler to the 100.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've had the opportunity to be able to run pretty much every distance on the trails. The shortest I've done is a 15K. And then, of course, the longest is 100. And I think that it's safe to say that each one is its own event. So I look at a 50K. You can pretty much train for a 50K the exact same way you do a marathon. Of course, you just want to make sure that you get on the trails and that you get used to climbing and being on technical terrain, or get used to the terrain that you're going to be racing on is probably the only difference between like road racing and marathons. As far as like going from 50K to 50 mile, I think a lot of what we do see are athletes that will approach the 50 mile the same way they do the 50K, and you can't really do that. I think you can definitely do like an advanced marathon training program for a 50 mile, but you have to have very key long training runs too. So you do need to do like some 30-mile runs. I'm a big believer in having like a handful of back-to-backs. I think, and back-to-back I mean like I don't necessarily think you need to do like a 40 and like a 20, but even if you did like a 30 and a 15, like just going out and getting used to running on tired legs. Now, going from a 50 to 100 mile, I think the 100-mile race distance is just its own event. It's a completely different race, and I can't decide yet if it's my favorite distance because I've only completed it one time. The other time I got disqualified for getting lost really bad.
You got lost.
But what I love about it is that it involves every part of you. So if you have not trained your mind to be able to run like in every condition at every time of the day, that's going to be tough for you in the race. So it's important your race strategy and your training need to encompass all of that. So you need to go out on the night runs. You need to go out and still run when you're tired. You need to do midweek, medium long runs, and absolutely do the back-to-back long runs, and just get used to time on your feet, Mm-hmm. I'd say that even though we're seeing faster and faster times in the 100-mile races, I still believe that those that are patient and those that are discerning in the race, a lot of times those are the guys that win, because they patiently know when that time is, when they should be taking it up a notch, but they've also have discerned, just like how the race rolls out. So they've been wise enough to go and do their research, whether it's with veterans that have done the 100-mile course, or they have gone out on the trail several times. They've studied the elevation profile and the course map and the terrain. I think knowledge plays a big role in that race, whereas like a 50K, you can just get out. You don't really know the course that much. I mean, you can kind of get out and rip through it. It's not a 24, 48-hour event.
Chris, go ahead.
Depends what kind of 50K, though. Speed goat, something like that, you kind of want to know.
Yeah,
no,
Billy, you did
absolutely.
Speed Go last year. I mean, did you go into that with any sort of strategy, or are you just like, I want to survive?
No, I mean, Speed Code has, I believe, over, 14,000?
8 or 9,000.
11,000?
11,000.
Yeah, you're right.
With a 50K, though, that's a lot.
And it's all run at elevation, and so we have trails over here. I mean, I'm a sea level guy through and through. I actually live at the beach, but we have mountains here that go from like 5,000 feet to over 10,000 feet. So we spent a lot of time training in those mountains, training in similar terrain, getting acclimated as best I could, and I even camped at the summit a few days leading up to the race.
Yep, that's right.
So, I mean, if it's at all possible, train for the terrain for sure, especially if it's at altitude.
Yeah, and Sally, I want to let you continue. Someone brought up in the chat room, I think, Chris, you were talking with Christopher Holloway about pacing, and talking about Los Angeles Marathon, you can actually go into a road marathon and go, I want to maintain a 7-minute mile pace or an 8-minute per mile pace. But when you're dealing with...
We lost your video.
Yeah, for sure.
You lost my video?
Now you're back.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
I hope it was just you guys. I hope it wasn't the live stream. Did you hear what I was saying? Or you want me to repeat that?
No, you got it. I could hear it.
Okay. So basically, if you're dealing with a marathon on the road, you can actually go into there with paces, right? Like a pace chart. And when you're dealing with trail versions, you can't necessarily go in there with a pace chart because you're dealing with elevation. So you're jumping from 0 feet to 10,000 feet over the course of a 50-mile to 100-mile race, right? So do you want to go into a 100-mile, 50-mile race even with any sort of pace chart in mind, or do you just go by effort, like an effort chart almost? What do you think, Sally?
I think I just want to back up really quick too, to make sure that everyone knows that as far as like knowing a course, a race course, profile, terrain, I am big on being knowledgeable regardless of the race distance, so I didn't want anyone to take that the wrong way. My point was that with a 100-mile race, it is just magnified in every single possible way. But I think as far as like going out and making a certain pace your goal, unless it's like a relatively flat course, which most road marathons, for the most part are, there's not real big change in terrain or anything like that affects your pace. I think the key is you can go back and like look at the results. That always gives you like an idea of, if you see that people are winning a 50-mile race and it's taking them 10 hours and the race has been around for like 10 years, that's probably one of the tougher courses, where there's other 50-mile races around here where the guys are winning them in 5 hours and 5.5 hours. And so I think as far as like, I know it's tough to say like how fast the race is or how fast the course is. It's maybe relative for everyone, but I think that the best thing you can do is find like a training course or somewhere around you that has like similar elevation gain, and see just how you do see how fast you are, like on a climb. Have very specific training runs that allow you to get the feel of running hard up a mountain or descending fast. But other than that, if you're showing up to the race, be knowledgeable of how the race has been run in years previous, but you pretty much run the race that day. Like, I would focus more like on your best effort, how you feel, and if you're racing, like you want a podium, you want to be in the front pack. I think a lot of that depends on how the front pack is doing, and I think that a lot of course records are set that way. It's not, course records aren't always set on someone keeping a pace. It's just kind of like it's based on like the feel. And if you have good training that has assimilated that race, then you're going to run a little bit better. So, but I think there's grace in that too. It kind of takes the stress away.
Sorry, I think I was a little bit delayed. How important is adapting your race strategy to the conditions at hand? So if you're dealing with a hot day, how important is it to adjust your hydration, adjust your salt intake, and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's very, very important. I know with like Western States coming up right now, just here in California, we haven't really had much of a winter, and so I would imagine that it's going to be one of the hottest years at Western States. And so I think it would only be wise that anybody that's going into that race, you better get out when it's hot, make sure that your training is done at times when it's hot, even go and sit in a sauna for 20 minutes. I think that a lot of the elements or like gear or nutrition, making yourself uncomfortable, all of those things are hitting like your mental focus. So like if you're strong, if you're mentally tough in a race, chances are that person has either put themselves in uncomfortable situations while they're training, and they've been okay with that. So, they wake up and they're like, I just don't feel like running today. Go run when you don't feel like running. It's raining outside, or it's way too hot. Go run in those conditions. Or it's too late at night, I don't want to run at night. Go run in those conditions. And that's important, especially for a 100-mile. And so I think that if you don't do that, and this is the unfortunate thing that we see all the time, is people will, their body's exhausted after like 60 miles, like so far done, and all they're thinking is, I have 40 more miles to go. This is ridiculous. Yeah. So many times the breakdown begins in the mind too. I mean, once that starts going, and then you're like, and my legs hurt, and everything just hurts, then it's magnified, and we see a lot of people will then drop out for something that's actually minor, like, my stomach just hurt, it was just going south, and then they stop and they pull their bib off and they sit in an aid station for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes later they're fine. So I think the best thing you can do as far as a strategy at the 100 miles is be okay with hurting and being uncomfortable and dropping super, super, super low, but know that it has happened time and time again that people kind of have a rebirth in a 100-mile. They could have 20, 30 miles of a bad stretch, and then come back and have the race of your life. I mean, we see races that are won this way. Yeah. So I think that your training needs to assimilate all different parts of race day, not just like the running in the sunshine, running at the dark, but realizing that nobody feels awesome for a full 100 miles. It's just not going to happen, because you're depleting your body of everything, mentally, physically, nutritionally. And so many times it's just a race of who's more mentally tough and who put in the right training. And yeah,
I'm going to totally agree with you on that, and give you first world experience. I mean, you read articles about this, and this doesn't just apply to the 100-mile distance, not in the slightest, because there's almost the sliding scale of people who are training for their first marathon. They may not have ever run longer than 20 miles, right? So there's that question of that 6 mile
or
difference,
even 5,
or even 5, right? So you're dealing with all these unknowns, and this, I think, is the best race strategy you can ever have, is always trust your body, as long as you've done the training and done the acclimation and done everything you can to prepare yourself. But trust the fact that you can push through the darkest of times. There have been multiple marathons that I have run where I've walked the last 6 to 10 miles, because I was undertrained. Something wasn't clicking. I still ran, but I was still able to finish because I convinced myself it's temporary. The pain is temporary. I'm not doing any serious permanent damage to my body. I just need to suffer a little bit longer and get to that finish line. And it worked. And you push to that finish line, and you would never believe the rebirth you have, the last mile or something when the adrenaline starts pumping again. And I will also cite last year the Cuyamaca 100K, which is my first 100K, first distance ever over 50 miles.
Awesome.
There was a long stretch of 8 miles right smack dab in the middle, which was the worst section I've ever had of any run. And it was the first time I've actually... exactly. That stretch is some of the worst. It's lonely. You go through some real dark mental times. And I'll be honest, the only thing that kept me going was the knowledge that I have learned by watching and reading and hearing about other people going through the same things, which is you can get through it. It will get better. It might get worse, but it will get better. Unless, of course, you're having some sort of kidney failure or you are, you are literally dying. It will get better.
No, to touch on that point too. I mean, I think if you've run ultras long enough, I've been running for maybe about 4 or 5 years now. If you know going into it intellectually that there's going to be low points just as much as there's going to be high points, and you kind of with every fiber of your being understand that and know that don't get too high, don't get too low, and it's going to be temporary, that you can claw yourself way out of it somehow by either eating or just having an attitude adjustment or drinking more. It'll get you through the race. I had the same thing with you too, with that one particular section where it just, for whatever reason, it just sucks the energy right out of you and all the joy, and you're just like, oh crap, this fucking sucks. Like, I want to be done. I want to quit. I want to turn my bib in. But you keep taking your calories in, keep moving one foot in front of the other, and keep playing with your headphone, and you'll get over it. You'll get over it. It'll get better. And if you understand that and you just believe in that, the race will change.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's the best race strategy you can have. I want to make sure that we move on. We'll be answering a lot of these questions and talking more about this in the post show, so be sure to stick around. But I think that's some pretty good advice from some pretty amazing runners, at least going into ultras and even marathons. More specific questions, again, we'll answer in the post show. Before we get to that, I want to move on, guys. So let's move this discussion on. This is a segment that we did last week. It's the Chris Vargo segment. This is one of my favorite.
God, I forget what my tip was gonna be.
Come on.
Do something from the race, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Like what happens when
I got something.
You have 4 seconds. All right, here we go.
I got it.
Just a tip
with Chris Vargo.
That's me.
Oh, nice.
It's one of my favorite. All right, Chris, what do you got? What's just the tip this week with Chris Vargo?
I had a good one earlier. I'm so damped. I've been up since 3 o'clock.
No excuses. Daylight savings.
I had a good one earlier, but I would say what I was talking about earlier in the race, this was the first thing that happened to me was I had a gear malfunction. I'd never had a gear malfunction before, where my bottle broke. I mean, it's a necessity, water. Like if that would have happened to me earlier, there aren't a ton of aid stations at Way Too Cool. Like at North Face or something like that, you'd probably be fine. But the problem is, so my water bottle broke. I didn't have it. I didn't like freak out. I just threw it on the ground, and I was at the aid station, so I started drinking what was there really quick. So I mean, I think you just have to stay calm and realize that you can't do anything about it, and go from there. So a malfunction like that. Now, if you had like a shoe malfunction, something big like that's tough to overcome. So I don't really have a tip for that yet.
It's called barefoot running, Chris. It's called barefoot running. The Tarahumara have been doing it for centuries.
I guess one of the things that you should do is always have way more shit in a drop bag than you think you should. especially in like a 50-mile to the 100-mile distance. 50K, you can do drop bags. You usually have one spot where you can do them. I would say load up and just put anything you can think of into a drop bag to offset any gear malfunctions that you have. But maybe even train, like, I don't really recommend that, but train without a lot of water sometimes. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't listen to me.
This is like just tips times 1,000 with Chris Vargo.
I had a good one earlier, and I can't.
Yeah, you're full of real shit this week, Chris. We'll let you think of a good one for next week. I'm just kidding. These are great tips. All 11 of them.
I'm getting frustrated with the chat room here. Like I keep posting stuff, and then it times me out for like 30 seconds.
Why is that?
I don't know. It says you can post in 30 seconds, and it counts down, and then I can post. So like all this shit goes by, and I can't say anything to anyone.
That's actually really strange. I'm surprised that YouTube is doing that. I haven't heard of that before. If you guys do have questions, again, continue to type them. We can scroll through, no problem, and we'll continue to scroll through in the post show. If you see any, Chris, you can always copy and paste to a separate document or something like that. We want to make sure that we get to as many questions as possible. Okay, so that was just the tip with Chris.
Just the tip
with Chris Vargo.
That's me!
I don't come prepared.
So we're going to move on to the next segment.
That was a horrible tip.
Chris, it's okay. It's okay.
It was good, Chris.
Yeah, we still love you. You won way too cool. Woo!
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the next segment called Runner's Rant. We did this last week. Runner's Rant!
Oh, look at the production value of this. Wow.
It went tenfold. So basically, these are things that we like to complain about, but so we're going to complain about it here live on air, so we can just let it go, release it, and hopefully it'll eventually get to the ethosphere where people will begin to fix it. Sally, I'm going to start with you. I know that you were very polite. You were the nicest person on the planet, but this is a runner's rant. We need you to rant about something. Sally McRae?
Okay. All right. So my runner's rant, I feel so bad saying this because I have a lot of friends that are mountain bikers, but it would just be great if mountain bikers would just alert us, like when you're coming down the trail behind us. I have been hit by a mountain bike before, knocked to the ground on my face, hydration pack come off, water streaming down, and the dude got to the bottom of the hill and just turned around and looked back at me and kept riding. I started laughing because I thought it was a joke. I was like, there's no way this dude just knocked me on my face and then just kept on riding. So
you know what you do for that?
I totally... What, Chris?
Just clip their bars and they'll go down.
So I totally understand that, like, that they get frustrated with, like hikers and people that kind of, like, meander across the trail, and that they can get hurt really bad if we don't pay attention to them, you know, flying over your bike and stuff, and that's super dangerous. But there's tons of mountain bikers out here on the trails that I train on, and I always appreciate the ones that, you know, say hi and are super cool, and but the ones that just come flying by and, you know, they'll curse at me every now and then too, just because if it's single track and there's not enough room for their handlebars, they get really mad because they're on, you know, they're flying really quick and they don't want to slow down. But let's share the trail and let's talk to each other. I love
there it
friends
is.
And,
There's
and
the rant.
chatting.
Yeah.
Shut the rant trail.
It'll never happen.
If you are a mountain
Before
biker
the
in
show,
room, alert.
It'll never
We're
happen.
not gonna no, we're not going to talk about that.
It'll never happen. But before the show, Sally's like, I don't want to complain about anything. And we open the mic to her, and all of a sudden she has like a 30-minute complaint. Share the trail. I think that's the ultimate message, is share the trail. Chris,
Share the trail.
I'm going back to you. I hope you have something. We had a lot of time for you to think.
I do. Well. No. Can you hear me? I couldn't hear anything for a second.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
My biggest thing is, as I'm messing with my headphones, people that wear headphones on the trails.
Yes.
So, especially women. I mean, you can creep up on women.
Wait,
Chris.
what?
No, I'm saying, like,
Chris.
you're gonna, what? Oh,
Go ahead.
you think dudes are going out to assault men out on the trails? All right.
No, that's not. I never mind. Go on.
What? Wearing headphones on the trails, that's not a bad rant. When I run up
No.
on someone really quick and scare the shit out of them and they start talking shit to me, that's my fault? No, it's their fault.
I love it. I love it.
So, I mean, plus you shouldn't be wearing them out there anyway. I mean, out here there's animals, you know? Like, you're not out there by yourself. It's not safe. There were even people at Way Too Cool. They do which is cool that they do this. There's people that need extra time to make the cutoff, so they let them go like 30 minutes before the main wave goes. And we ran up on people within 2 or 3 miles, and there were a couple people that had headphones and just couldn't hear us and would not get out of the way. So, we're out there racing. They're out there to run it easy. They can't hear us come up, and it's dangerous. So that's my
I think I agree with that. I do train with headphones. I do race with headphones. Usually no music, which is surprising. I keep them in because I don't want them bouncing around or anything like that, just in case I need to zone out and I need to turn on music. But if you do use headphones or use music, you better keep that low. You better keep it low enough where you can hear everything around you, and that's actually why I like these earbuds, is because you can hear atmosphere. But there was a guy on a trail on the Sean O'Brien. I never talked about this, but there's a guy on the Sean O'Brien course who was wearing giant over-the-ear headphones. He was racing. He was a racer, by the way. And I came up behind him multiple times, and I explained why multiple. But I came up behind him, and I would yell, "On your left, passing on your left, passing, passing. Let me know when you're ready." Like, I would yell at him, like, "Let me know when I can pass you," and he just wouldn't say anything. So finally I would go up over the trail and around him, and he yelled at me. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you, blah, blah, blah."
Exactly.
He's like, "I'll catch you on the uphills." And he would go out of his way to race uphill to catch me, pass me, and then I would catch him within 30 seconds on the downhill. And I'm like, dude, you're not being safe. What you're doing is a danger to yourself and to other runners.
Yeah. So let me be clear about headphones too. Like, if I'm going out and running like an easy run on the Greenway or something like that, I'll listen to music.
Yeah.
There's no one that's gonna creep up on me. You know, I mean, it's a wide trail, but I run a lot of single track stuff out here, and I feel like every run I go on, I run up on someone, and they get, like, if I'm running with the dog and the dog like brushes past them, they get scared shitless. You know, when I'm yelling that we're coming up on them, and you're out there by yourself with, I just think it's a safety thing.
Yeah. Billy, we're going to move on to you. Billy, what is your runner's rant?
Oh, Jesus, man.
You've had about 30 minutes to think.
I know, and I thought I had one. I mean, it's not really a rant, and God knows I don't want to be someone who's anti-capitalism and anti-America, but there are a lot of things. I mean, I paid particular notice to this when I was running LA Marathon, and there's a lot of first-timers and people who will buy, whatever they can to improve their times by a smidgen, or if they think it's improving their times. And I guess my main message would be to keep it simple. Keep it very simple. You don't have to get too fancy about your nutrition, your hydration, your pack, your water bottle. Like, what's the best thing out there? What's the best way to carry my water? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just running. Pair of shoes, pair of shorts, and you're out the door. And I guess in women's cases, tops. But it really is. It's a very pure sport, and I think the more you remind yourself of that, the more enjoyable the overall experience will be. And that's just my 2 cents.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I will say that, I noticed that a lot during the LA Marathon this year in particular. I will say that my runner's rant deals with training, and you're out there training, you're running, you're going for a long training run, or maybe you're going a long trail run, road or trail really, and there's another runner out there, and you're like, oh, cool, this person's also training, that's pretty neat. And let's say you're going a little bit faster than them, and you begin to pass them, and they start to race you. They start to either, they let you go by, but then they catch you a couple minutes later, and they try to pass you. I don't know what to call it, but maybe it's just keep your ego in check. If you're passing me I'm going to let you pass me. I'm not in any mood to race. I'm on a training run. I have to mentally keep it in check and just go, I'm doing this run at my pace. That person is passing me. This isn't a race. So when I pass people or anything like that, don't race me. Don't race. You're doing a training run. I don't know you. There was one moment, the reason I bring this up is because there was one time when I was trail running in Griffith Park, which is just here in Los Angeles, and I was just running up a hill, and the guy was hiking up, and I ran by him. I didn't say anything. I was kind of zoned out. And he yells at me. He goes, I got injured 2 weeks ago. I can't run. That's all he said. I don't know who this guy was. And I turned around and was like, you'll get better. Like, not knowing what exactly to say to him, because what was he expecting? To, like, be able to race me?
I need you to know my story.
Why don't you know my story?
Yeah.
You don't have to justify to me why you're hiking, man. Like, you're out here hiking. You're kicking ass.
Yeah.
There's no reason to justify. So I kind of get bugged when people are thinking everything's a race, and so they'll race you on the trail, or they'll get mad if you pass them, and I think it's just too big of a deal.
I actually thought about that. I have this thought a lot where I'm on a run, and I'm like, it'd be nice if we have like either a color scheme or like T-shirts that said, today's my tempo day, or today's my recovery day, or I'm doing a long run. I'm running 30 miles today, so you
a handkerchief in your back pocket, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that can be difficult sometimes if someone's creeping up on you and you're just out chilling.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, you need like a scrolling.
Yeah.
You need like a scrolling message on the back, on your back.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy
for
me.
Saying.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine someone like Chris, who's running 5-6 minute miles at a training pace, that you're going to pass everybody. You're rarely going to come across somebody who is going to go faster than you. So you're passing everybody. How many times do you get raced?
I mean, it doesn't really happen that often, but I mean, you'll get people that will go out there and do like short, kind of 30-second or minute-long sprints and like blow past you and like think they're all bad, and then you just creep up on them. And yeah.
By the way,
it's almost
here's
like
Sally. Sally is totally gone. I don't know where she is. It's just.
I'm not. I'm here.
I think she's on wireless right now, so I think the whole wireless thing is causing her computer to malfunction. So all I see right now, and I'm sure all the people in the live chat see, is just a beautiful screenshot of Sally in her muscle-toned yellow top.
I can see it.
Oh no.
Oh, you can? Oh, maybe it's just me.
You know?
No, I can't see
Sally,
Sally.
Sally, are you there?
I just see this.
She's on the live feed.
Yeah, I'm here.
I can see it.
I'm here.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, maybe
you
it's just
see
my
me?
computer, because all I see is her logo, and I don't hear her. So I don't know where she's at. I'm guessing it's her Wi-Fi signal. We'll try to fix it in the post show. But I want to move on to the last segment of the day before we go to the post show. It's a new segment this week. This is the first time you're going to see it. It's called I Love My Selfies.
I love myself so much, I gotta take a pic of me. Selfies.
So basically, I want to do this every week. If we have time to, every week. You guys post amazing running shots. I think it's really funny, this whole selfie, I don't want to call it phenomenon. It's just, it is what it is. People taking pictures of themselves, right? So people love taking pictures of themselves. I love it. I love taking photos of myself. So I had you guys, using the hashtag TrainRaceBeer, put photos of yourself on Instagram and comment hashtag TrainRaceBeer. So here are some of the results. Billy and Chris, Sally, I can't hear you, but Billy and Chris,
yes.
Let's talk about these selfies. Here's the first one. This is from @LovelyJubbly. I believe she's Irish or Scottish. This is
looks beautiful out there.
Yeah, it looks beautiful out there. I think she's at the top of a mountain.
Was that qualified as a selfie though? I thought selfies were when you were kind of holding the camera out.
That's a picture.
Yeah, I guess that is more of a photo, more of a.
It's a gorgeous picture though.
Yeah, it's cool. I can't make fun of that one.
No, you can't. You can't. Here's a great example of a selfie. This is actually from a longtime viewer, longtime fan,
there we go.
Daisy. Run, Daisy, run. She's awesome. She does some crazy good trail runs and always has some really cool shots. But this is a great selfie. Perfect example of a selfie.
That's a good one, yeah.
And obviously it looks like she's having a blast. From @RunHer619, it's hard. It's easy to forget that people are actually running in freezing temperatures.
Oh, wow.
What is that white stuff that they're coated in?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's beach smoke. Don't know what that is.
Here is another one that was just tagged today. at @the_spotted_bean. This is at the top of Mount. Oh man, I forget what it was called. Like Mount Yang or something like that. It's a mountain. I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
Mount
That's
Yang,
mine.
yeah. But I believe it's in China, somewhere in Asia. But it's beautiful, beautiful view. Nice selfie.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
It's like a nice
And
one.
then, of course, the best selfie of them all.
No,
me.
that of the selfies that
I
we
love that.
have you. There's some that we could post on here, but we should probably keep that private.
We'll keep it private. But this one was taken last week by my roommate. So I guess you're right. This isn't a selfie. So if that's not a selfie, then this isn't a selfie. Because I took this of Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Sally.
no!
Love that one.
There's
good one.
Chris's penis.
Split shorts.
And then
Timmy also
Billy.
took an awesome one today. I don't know
Well,
if you
look at
caught
this.
that one.
This is. I haven't seen that one yet. We'll have to take a look at it.
Yeah.
But this is Billy's. You were up at 8,000 feet alone. So how is this? How did you? Take this?
7,000. 7,000. I had, I went up there. I went camping last week, kind of midweek, just to get out of LA for a little bit.
Mhm.
It was freezing cold, huge, like wicked wind gusts in the middle of the night, so I barely got a wink of sleep. But it was absolutely beautiful there, and I kind of went up there to shoot some time lapse. But as soon as I made my camp, full set.
Wait, Chris, hold that back up, Chris.
This is a selfie
There you go.
with the dog.
Chris, you're good with the selfies, yeah.
Sally's like in no. Oh, there goes Sally. She's gone.
I'm gonna re-invite her.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, Billy, go ahead. I want to hear.
No.
About
So I had my camera gear with me, and I was gonna try to shoot some time lapse at night, and clouds blew through like in the middle of the night, so that didn't happen. So I had all my gear. I thought I'd take a picture, and I was like, there really wasn't a whole lot else to do except for eat and mess around with the camera. So yeah.
It really is beautiful.
some of the best time with yourself, you know.
Oh yeah, no.
Right, nice up there, yeah.
There was a lot of that.
That's a good one.
And just as Sally leaves, this is Sally's wonderful selfie.
Yes.
I wish you could explain it, but she's wearing her Trail Running Nation buff around her face. Hopefully she'll be back. I just sent her another invite. So
I love myself so
I love
much.
your selfie.
I gotta take a pic of me. Selfies. So
I don't know. I think that's a fun.
Those are great.
So that'll dovetail right into the last segment of the day, and I want to do this every single week because I think it's important. It is the segment called Runspiration, where we talk about people like you who are watching who have amazing stories to help inspire others, because I think this is extremely important in what we do. So today's Runspiration comes from Trisha. Poblete or Poblete? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Here is her story. In my 20s, I caught the running bug. I completed various 5Ks and 10K races. My doctor told me that it was too risky to keep running due to my weight and high blood pressure. Heartbroken, I stopped and became a couch potato who developed diseases like diabetes and high cholesterol. It was a low point in my life, and my health paid a price for my inactivity. 3 months into my weight loss journey in 2011, I sought out running to beat boredom of the treadmill. I drove to a local path and started to jog. I was huffing and puffing after a couple of minutes. I would walk a little, then I would run again. The next thing I knew, I ran 2 miles. Honestly, it hurt. My legs ached and lungs were burning, but I never felt the feeling of pure joy. But I never will forget the feeling of pure joy while running. I felt alive and excited to tackle something so simple, something I wasn't feeling much of at that point. 2.5 years later, I still feel joy and excitement whenever I lace up my shoes and walk out the door. Besides joy and excitement, running fuels my sense of adventure, strengthens me in times of trial, and comforts me in times of sadness. How could you not possibly fall in love with it? I was given a second chance and never take it for granted. As cliche as it sounds, running is truly a gift. When I lack motivation, I remind myself it was like what it was like not able to run. This reason alone snaps me into the present, and I am back out on the roads in my happy place. In June 2013, I completed my first half of the San Francisco Marathon. This year, I was selected to be a part of the San Francisco Ambassador team and will be running the second half in July. Running has changed my life in so many ways, and I can't imagine life without it. That is awesome.
I dig it.
I dig it.
Love it.
I think hearing stories like that is crucial to help people get off that couch, get out there, move their legs, and trust the fact that anybody and everybody can run. Really, really great story. I very much appreciate it. We're going to get Sally back in for the post show. Stick around. Don't go anywhere if you're watching live. We're going to talk a little bit about all the questions that you've been asking in the chat room. They've been going like crazy gangbusters, so we're going to bring them up and answer them. We've got Chris Vargo, Billy Yang. We'll get Sally McRae back in here. Don't forget, you can follow us all on our social networks. Chris, what are your social networks where people can find you?
Twitter at the Vargo, Instagram Chris __ Vargo, VargoRunning.com, which is going to go live I think Wednesday or Thursday, and I'll have my race report on there too, so that'll be good. And then Strava, you can search me on Strava. Yeah.
Awesome. Billy, where can people find you?
Main running site is larunner.com. My Twitter and Instagram handles are at larunner, and that's spelled LARUNR. And on YouTube, I'm also on there too, so check those out.
Hey,
You can go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
do you see Sally? It says that she thinks she's blocked, but you take care of that.
Yeah, she just texted me. I'll take care of it. You can follow me on all the social networks at The Ginger Runner on Twitter, Facebook.com/The Ginger Runner, YouTube.com/The Ginger Runner. Everything is all there. It's pretty easy to find. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're doing videos every single week live on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and of course, reviews every Friday. So we appreciate you guys tuning in live. If you are, if you're watching on demand, we appreciate that as well. You guys are awesome. We'll see you guys in the post show. That is it.
Selfie.
Live. For Ginger Runner Live, number 5. See you guys next week. Okay, so welcome to the post show.
Oh, we're still done. Okay.
Yeah, we're live, Billy.
We're still live, Billy, just so you know. But
I was just going to say how earlier someone said they were from Norway. Someone just said that they're in Saudi Arabia, just woke up and joined. Brazil, Alberta, Canada. That's pretty rad.
nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Thailand earlier, too. Way earlier. So all over the world. That's pretty rad, man.
So what sort of questions have we been missing? Because I've been watching the chat room and there's tons of questions. I feel terrible. We were just running so tight on time that we weren't able to get to all the questions. What did you see in there, Chris, from earlier? Because I know a lot of people had questions for you specifically.
Pacing question. I think we kind of went over that too. Let me see. I'm kind of scrolling through here.
Even if it was typed in the chat room, we can bring it up because sometimes people will only watch the video and not read the comments.
Someone from Colombia too.
Even Billy, if you see anything too.
Let me scroll through here. They were like lagging, and then they would all load really quick.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's the YouTube chat room. It sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Damn, there were some good ones on here. I think someone asked about like acclimating to like what you do to help in races, like if you're at sea level, what do you do to help with running at a elevation race? What do you guys do? I mean, you guys run up Baldy and you spend time like Billy camping up there.
Well, I guess
Billy, you've raced and run at elevation. So what's your advice?
Well, I mean, if you can afford it, I would probably recommend something like Hypoxico. It really depends how serious you're planning on taking this. I know Guillaume, who also ran Speedo with me last year, who's a far more talented runner than I am, had a rough time with the altitude, and I was okay. I was fine. Really, I mean, if that's not an option for you, I think Hypoxico would probably be your next bet. Chris, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the closest things that you can do. People, you'll hear of them getting those masks that like hinder the air that comes in, but that's not the point. It's not the volume of air that comes in. It's the like me being at 60, 100 feet right now in my house, the oxygen molecules are just farther apart. So the amount of air is still the same. So hindering that is just going to kill brain cells, you know? So hypoxico, but I think getting up into elevation. Also, if you're going to a race that's at elevation and you've never even run at elevation, it's best to get there like the day of or the day before. You don't want to be there like a week before. That's actually going to make it worse.
Yeah.
You're going to get the headaches and all that crap. It's hard to sleep. But yeah, like hypoxico is going to be one of the best things. It seems to work for people.
Yeah, I guess that's really the only other option. A race like Hard Rock. I know people will go there 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time to acclimate properly, but
yeah, and even then, it takes like, I mean, it probably took me 9 months to almost a year to actually get like acclimated. I don't think you ever get fully acclimated. It'd probably take like 20 years, if you're born up here. That's the only way you can be like fully acclimated.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like I was in California over the weekend, and I came back here, and I can tell pretty quickly that it's different. So it'll take me like a couple runs to start feeling a little bit better. But yeah, let's see what other. Someone was asking a question: how to train if you live in a flat area. How are you going to train for
like a mountain race?
A mountain race. So this particular person was from Chicago. So I mean, it's like pancake flat in Chicago.
Yeah.
I suggested stairs and incline on the treadmill. Matt Flaherty, that runs for Solomon, used to live in Chicago, and he'd run stairs like daily. And he had a very successful season. So yeah, but you need to move out of Chicago and move to the.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, Chris, while we're on that topic. Is there anything you can do speed-wise that will kind of make you a more efficient climber? You know what I mean? Like if you do more intervals or if you do more tempo runs and you just improve your overall conditioning, can that be something that you can do?
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, you can develop strength and power from doing speed work. I mean, that surely has to transfer over into climbing. I would even say hop on a bike too to get a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Body weight training, plyometric stuff, that would probably work as well.
Yeah.
Sally's back.
Sally's probably watching this going like, oh!
Sally is back. So I don't know what ended up happening.
back.
I think her Wi-Fi signal was poor. What ended up happening was she just got disconnected, and all I could see was her little logo. So I invited her in again because apparently it blocked her, but I still don't see her.
No, just
You don't? I can see you
Just her
guys.
logo. Sally, we got to get you a wire that will connect you to your Wi-Fi modem.
Can you
I think
hear
that's
that?
actually one of the major issues just with this is that no one other than me is connected hardwired, and I think hardwire is kind of necessary. So we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that in the future. Yeah. Okay. So you guys keep going. I'm going to try to get Sally's video signal going.
I'm trying to read. There's some new questions coming in.
I can see all you guys.
Someone gave up meat for Lent. Do you recommend a good source for vegetarian training nutrition? So a good source of protein. I mean, you can do whey protein.
Yes, since as a vegetarian, I'm a pretty stout vegetarian. If you are giving up meat, I collect a lot of my protein from vegetables. I mean, to be totally honest, there's tons of protein in vegetables and stuff like that. If you're going vegetarian, you can use eggs, cheese, and whey protein, since you can do dairy. If you're vegan, there are vegan protein powders out there if you really need that extra protein. But the truth
Don't do soy.
Yeah, soy. I agree with that. I try not to do any soy products. I'll do almond milk over soy milk. I try to use very, very little soy. But if you're going vegan, you can pull a lot of your proteins from vegetables, legumes. there's plenty of opportunities to pull your proteins. A lot of people think, well, you need to pack in 30 grams of protein in one shake and right after a workout. But look at a lot of the elite ultra runners. Some of them are vegans, and they're not pulling any of their proteins from cheese, meat, eggs, or any of that kind of stuff.
And I don't think it's always necessarily like the high protein. I think it's good to get the fats too. So you can get great fat from an avocado. Even if you want to do like Udo's oil, put that on a salad, you can get some good fats too. So it's not just like protein, but like you were saying. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
I saw a question in the chat room a little bit earlier about using trekking poles. You see it a lot in European races where they'll have really, really light foldable hiking poles for the steep ultra events or trail racing events. Do you guys use them? Have you used them?
I never have. No, I mean, when I go on backpacking trips, I'll use them, but that's just it. I mean,
I considered them for a race like Speaker, but I find them a little too cumbersome, and I think unless you're really efficient with it, it'll be more of a detriment. So like I said, in the spirit of keeping things simple, if there's a hill or a mountain that where the grade is steep enough, I'll just kind of do the hands on knees, pushing off and climbing that way. But yeah, not a huge trekking pole fan.
Yeah, I haven't used them in any ultra. Then again, I've rarely done an ultra that deals with. I would say Squamish 50 is the first ultra that I've done that dealt with real steep inclines. And even when I was doing those, I didn't think to myself, oh man, I wish I had trekking poles. I rely on my legs and my back to get me up. I never at any point was like, oh, I need trekking poles. So that could be an individual thing. If they help you get faster and stay more upright, then more power to you. Che Hassemeyer earlier asked this. I saw this a lot earlier. Love the live show, Ginger. Question for the pros. Just got diagnosed with Achilles tendonitis. What can I do to speed recovery? Got Ice Age 50 and San Juan Solstice coming up. You guys may have already answered this.
I just sent a message on there, but I mean, I had a lot of issues I was out with Achilles tendonitis last year. Biggest thing that helped me, active release therapy. So like a sports chiropractor can do that. It's generally your calf, your soleus, and your gastroc get really tight where it connects to the Achilles, and it doesn't allow the Achilles to kind of move, and it just builds up scar tissue. So you need to have someone go in there and kind of move that apart. You need to break it up.
Can you
and
see
get
me?
blood flow. Sally?
Sorry.
If it gets really bad, you can get to the point where you can get like blood platelets injected into it. I've never had that done, but because the tendon just doesn't get a lot of blood flow to it. Ultrasound's going to help, but usually strengthening that calf and breaking up that scar tissue is going to help a lot. And as far as exercise goes, elliptical and pool running. That's what I did.
Yeah. Those are both good. I love it. Billy, your still frame on the video was the same exact still frame that Sally has on hers.
That's what I was trying to do. I was going for the Sally. By the way, the selfie's up.
Oh, wait, what is it?
Our Ginger Runner Live podcast, so that's my contribution.
Oh, my God, look at that. Look at that. That's so meta.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Question on the pool running. For if anyone's injured out there, what exactly does pool running entail? I imagine you are putting on a aqua jogging belt, like a float device, and you're just going through the running motion in deep water?
Yeah, you go through the running motion in deep water. You don't want to be touching the ground. You can do it without an aqua jogger belt, but that you're going to use a little bit more energy than needed, really. It's basically to get the motion going. Now, if you have like a hamstring injury or something like that, pool running can actually hurt that even more. So there are some injuries that aren't good to rehab in the pool per se. But like an Achilles, that's a good one. I've even heard that plantar fasciitis is not good for the pool because you tend to like flex your foot out a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of foot flexion. Yeah.
Yeah, so that can actually make it worse. IT band pain, I think it would probably be pretty good for that. But yeah, running in place. I mean, you go really slow. You just run back and forth.
Yeah.
It's boring, but you can actually get your heart rate going pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll do
I
like-
actually think I remember you talking on a previous podcast where you said when you came back from it, you didn't lose a whole lot of fitness.
No, I was probably even more fit. I was working out like 5 hours a day, you know, like
Yeah.
every day doing, you know, non-real pounding exercises that really beat you up. So yeah, you can stay fit. And the good thing about running is that you maintain your fitness for a long time. It's not like swimming. If you take like 3 days off from swimming, you actually lose like a week of what you had, something like that. But so yeah.
Chris, who's a faster runner, Vargo or Colt? That was a question asked earlier by Tom Wells.
He can kick my ass for about 2 hours, and then after 2 hours, he just runs right in front of me. So he's a lot faster than I am.
How do you strategize your pace so that you can push in the end of a race? Says Abhijit Shandy.
That they've been on here before. They said Shandy.
Okay, cool. Shandy, love it.
I think that's something you need to find out for yourself. You kind of live and learn at races. You'll hit that wall sometimes, and you know that maybe you pushed it too hard in the beginning. I think you're constantly learning something like that, and it's harder on courses that have more elevation gain. I mean, you should know the profile that if there's a huge climb at the end, you don't want to, you know, blow all your energy before getting to that. So it's just a learning curve, I think.
Can I throw something out there? And I'm curious to see if this will actually work with anyone else. I have a little strategy for the end of races, and I utilize this quite a bit.
Yeah.
I would say it worked maybe 80% of the time. Sometimes my body wouldn't catch up, but I'll just go to a point where I'm just fucking done. Like, I just want to be done. I want to have my Coke. I want to have my beer. I want to sit down. I just want to stop moving. So I'll just go into a mode where I'll just like shut my brain off, and I'll like repeat a mantra over and over again. Just like really, the mantra is more for the sake of like really staying in the moment, really immersing myself in the moment, and just not letting any weak thought creep up in my head like, oh, okay, I want to stop now. So when I do this, and I won't tell everyone what my mantra is because it's kind of stupid, but when I do this, I've been able to kick in a race like anywhere from like a 50K to 100K, you know, my fastest miles in the last 4 or 5 miles. So I'm curious to see if anyone else will try this in a race. Whatever might work for you, you know, I say mantra, and that's so kind of trite to say, but really just something like a statement or just a breathing exercise to like get you to the end of a race, because that's worked for me in the past.
Are you asking us a mantra?
No. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out for the people out there. Maybe they can give feedback later, but it's something that's worked for me. Might work for you. I don't know, because I do think when your body is at that point of just so fatigued, there is a little reserve left in there somewhere where your brain can actually take over how crappy your body's feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Take it into another gear, and it's worked for me.
Yeah, I think if you tell yourself that you're feeling like shit, you're gonna feel like shit, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know. So it's good to be positive, even when you're hitting those dark moments. And you have to realize in ultras, you're gonna have ups and downs, and sometimes the downs are a little bit harder to get out of, but usually you can bring it back around for the most part, just by staying positive and staying calm and chilling a little bit. So yeah, no, I agree with you for sure.
There's a question that goes a ways back from Sam Gurul. Any advice on how to get back into training after suffering from the flu? I've run into this. I know that you guys have run into this when you deal with sickness for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. How do you get back into training? Does it influence it at all?
I think so. I actually saw that earlier, and I think really staying hydrated and staying in maintaining your nutrition is going to help maintain the muscles. I mean, if you have like the bad flu where you're throwing up and you're not eating, you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna lose muscle weight. So I think really getting calories in somehow, some way, during that time is gonna help your recovery. And I also think, if it's something that's getting into your lungs, I've always heard that it's good to really take some time off if it's into your lungs. But if it's in your head, you can kind of keep rolling. But yeah, staying hydrated, taking it easy. Don't worry about doing any hard workouts or anything like that.
Yeah, someone actually asked me that very recently. They were going to do a long run on a Saturday. They're like, yeah, I have a 23-mile run I need to do on a Saturday, but I'm sick. This is on a Thursday. Should I go and do it? And my advice was, well, you really have to listen to your body, because when you're sick, your body is healing. It's actively in the healing process or dealing with what's at hand, which is sickness, infection, fever. Your body is run down. So in my logic, I'm not a doctor, but in my logic, if you go out there and push yourself for 20+ miles, you're putting your body into almost like a negative capacity, right? So your body's going to start healing the muscles as well as trying to heal your sickness. It's like it's a double negative, so it can't be good. That's my logic. So if you have a big training run and you're also really sick, I really think you need to pay attention and let your body heal first. You can try to go for a run if you feel up to it, but if you start feeling super laggy and just not able to get that sort of strength out of it, I can't imagine you're going to benefit much from that workout at all. That's right. That's my uneducated doctor's opinion.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm always right.
You're a smart guy.
Yeah, just going through the chat room here. We've been trying to get Sally back on. I apologize. It keeps saying you're not allowed to join this video call every time I try to invite her. This is the saddest thing ever. She runs into a video issue where we can't see her face, and you try to reset it, and unfortunately it's blocking her completely from the live video feed, which is YouTube's fault. It's not mine. She is sitting at home, twiddling her thumbs, eating her salad on her bed.
She has shitty internet connection anyway.
She does.
Hey, Ethan, can I ask Vargo a question while you work on that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm kind of curious to see. I mean, you mentioned on Facebook and social media that you're not really sore from your race yesterday or Saturday, and you're eager to get back into training. And you mentioned you have a plan in place for Lake Sonoma, which is coming up in mid-April. Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of talk about that and what your plan is going into it. A lot more. I mean, it's safe to say it's a lot more stacked.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, the competition will be pretty fierce, and I'll be up there filming and supporting you, and Sally will be racing it too. So what's your game plan going into it?
Well, yeah, and going back to not being that sore, I mean, I have the delayed onset muscle soreness today, but it's not bad at all. Like, I could run right now. But normally I'll take a little bit longer, more days off, but Ian actually has me running tomorrow. Easy this week, easy short, or not short, but easy mileage, no workouts. But then the following week, I'm getting up to, he wants me to get up to about 110, 115. He doesn't want me to, if I hit 120, it'll be all right. But it's going to be quality and quantity. We're throwing double days back in, some good long runs on the weekend. So he has me doing a quick jump back up because I'm already fit. So, I mean, I owe that. The soreness, I was just pleasantly surprised when I woke up. I was like, man, I'm fit right now. Like, I'm getting more and more fit if I'm not having that soreness. And every race, I'm just getting better and stronger and stronger. So it's going to be easy for me to transition into this training cycle, which is not that long because April 12th will come up super quick. So I'll probably hit 110, 115 next week, and then he has me doing 90 to 100 the following week.
That's incredible.
And then it's a half a week of some quality, and then we start dropping. He's a big fan of doing a peak phase as opposed to a full 3-week taper. And the idea behind that is to kind of keep the engine going, do some mile repeats, hill repeats, fartleks. Even the week of the race, he has me do a workout on Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. So I'm even going to throw a little bit of cycling in too to get just a little bit more fitness.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, you got to be dialed in for this race. It's way more stacked than last year, and I'd say it's more stacked than North Face this year too. So, but I'm looking forward to it, man. Like every race that I do, that I either don't hit that wall or that wall gets closer and closer to the end. So, I mean, I think I can. I have a chance to. I think that I can win it. I mean, I think I could beat those guys.
Yeah,
so,
who's your main competition? I mean, I don't want to say main competition, but who are some of the elites that are going to be there?
Just we'll tell you who's not there. That's probably easy.
Rob Crar, Sage Canaday, Max King, Cam Clayton, David Laney from the team. We have 5 guys from Nike running, 6 guys, and then Sally and Alicia from Nike as well. Let's see, Cam Clayton, Tim Olson, Dave Mackey, Ryan Gelfie.
Am I going to be there? Because I think that's what you guys all really need to worry about.
Yeah.
Which ginger runner is running?
Joe Yuhan, Jacob Reedman. Shit, man.
Ethan, you and I could be that shirtless guy who takes off for like 100 yards.
JD.
JD.
I'm gonna hop on there right now and look. But yeah, like Rob Carr. Mike Wolf, I think, will be there.
So Vargo,
Ian Sharman.
The training that Ian has you doing, it's very course specific, right? Like what he puts you through and the kind of elevation he puts you through is going to be a lot different from, say, Speed Code, which we're going to be doing later this year. It's going to be a lot more elevation, I would imagine, a lot less speed work and that kind of stuff versus a Lake Sonoma, which has less elevation and more runnable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he'll still incorporate the speed work, but he'll make sure that I do I'll usually do like kind of a medium long run on Wednesdays. So he'll have me do like, hey, go out and run on some aggressive trails, go hard on some of the climbs, or go out and run a hard 25 miler, that kind of stuff. But yeah. Speed Goat, I'm running 50-mile trail champs in Ithaca, New York on June 1st. But once that's over, like Speed Goat training is gonna be my main thing. Like I'm gonna do like Tim Olson shit, like 30,000 feet of gain a week kind of thing.
Wow.
Because my fitness will be there, my speed will be there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope that I, knock on wood, stay healthy for Speed Goat.
Yeah, buddy, you're killing it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to watch, man. Can't wait to see all your stats on Strava and how much I'm beating you by. It's going to be great. All right, I'm just kind of going through the chat room here. Running on tired legs, double long runs, important, says Chris Holloway. Now, Vargo, you said earlier that for a 50-mile race, you'll run a 15-mile as like a Saturday run, and then you'll run longer on Sunday. So when you double up, you do 2 long runs together. Do you do the short version first and then the long version?
Ian usually has me do my long run on Saturdays because most races are on Saturdays.
Right.
So, but with my work, which I'm actually, I'm not going to be working weekends anymore because I'm preparing to move to Flagstaff. So I'll have more time on the weekends.
That's funny. It sounds like you mispronounced Southern California.
Los Angeles.
I'll make my way there at some point. I mean, I think right now in my life, training is super important to me. So I think Flagstaff's going to be a good place for me to do that. But yeah, I mix it up. I'll do maybe the long run on Saturday and then maybe do it on Sunday. But he usually has me doing a timed run on Sunday, like after my long run. So it usually equals out to be about 15 miles. But my long run for a 50 miler is only going to be 25 miles plus like a 50K lead-in race. You don't need to go out and run 40 miles. It takes too long to recover from that type of stuff. So,
I agree.
And I'm a big fan of timed runs too. So go out for 5 hours and run. If you run 18 miles in 5 hours, so be it. You're on your feet for 5 hours. So,
you're talking specifically trail, I'm guessing, because a 5-hour road run, you could run, 30, 40 miles. You're talking trails.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I ran flat, I usually run my 20 milers flat in like 2 hours or something like that, or a little over 2 hours.
Big deal.
I mean, if that's like a pretty fast 20 miler. But yeah, on the trails, you almost have to do time.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a slave to GPS now. Like, I like to hit certain mileage, so which I need to just go out with a watch, but gotta post it on Strava.
Oh God, Vargo, don't be that guy. Don't be a stat geek.
The people like to see what's going on,
Don't be a course record hogger.
I already have all of them around here anyway, so.
Wait, so hang on. Backing up a bit, are we breaking this on Ginger Runner Live? Ethan, I don't know if you guys talked about it last week, but so you're confirming moving to Flagstaff?
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it last week, but I guess we've been talking about it amongst ourselves in our little group chat. But you did drop it on one of your Instagram photos, Chris Vargo.
Yeah.
You actually had a date. You actually said a date.
Man.
Does your work know? Do people, like your friends and family know?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all been discussed.
But now the world knows. So Chris Vargo,
I think and what will be great. I'm gonna start coaching too, so that's gonna give me free time to do whatever I want.
Jesus, why don't you just drop double bombs on us?
What
are you talking about? Moving?
Yeah. So coaching, kind of doing the Sally gig, But that'll give me time to. My plan is I'm going to be close to you guys. Flagstaff's only like 6.5, 7 hours away.
Only?
That's like a weekend,
man. 4-hour run for you. That's a 4-hour run for you.
That's like easy weekend jaunt up to California, or if you guys want to come visit me and go run the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
We'll do that too. So for my time right now, I think Flagstaff, my coach is there. There's really great runners there, and it's at altitude, and I think I've really been benefiting off of that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, altitude, yeah.
But it's hard to weigh. Like I've had to make a decision. So I weigh like having you guys out there, good friends out there, that I know I would have fun out there, but I think my training would suffer a little bit. So,
yeah.
And I think I'm
we understand that.
Yeah.
This is turning into like my livelihood and a job, so I think
we are not Rob Cryer or Jason Wolf, and you can't be like, hey Vargo, let's go out for a 25 miler.
So I would like to come out there and check out some of the areas. Like I know Tim lives in Pasadena, and I'd like to go check out Big Bear and stuff like that because I haven't seen that yet. But I'm a small town guy. I mean, I grew up in small town Indiana. That's what I know, and that's what I'm kind of comfortable with. So Flagstaff has that vibe that I'm used to.
Yeah, you actually mentioned Big Bear, and I think that's another really good mountain town. Billy, does Josh live up in Big Bear? Where does he live?
Josh Cox?
Yeah.
They're in Mammoth.
Mammoth is beautiful. I can't wait to get up there because Mammoth is at elevation.
Yeah.
A ton of elite athletes that live and train in Mammoth. But the trails, I was just blown away by the trails. I actually don't want to spill the beans too much because I almost don't want to put it out there, but it is beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Mammoth is, I would say there's like 3 or 4 big, well-known cities for like training and running, and Mammoth is one of those.
Yeah.
One of those meccas,
Yeah, it's like
In Boulder is Boulder. Everyone they live there. It's more of about kind of like keeping up with the Joneses bullshit, and I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's super expensive. There's a lot of people crammed in there. Flagstaff is like, it's just, it's nice. You can get out of it really easy. It does snow a lot, but yeah, it's really turning into a mecca running place. So.
Hey Vardo, somebody had a question again. I don't know if you guys addressed it in a previous a video. Cody Cunningham asked Vargo, will you take a spot in Western States if you're basically top 3 at Sonoma? And did you talk about this yet?
I've made my decision in that I won't take one. I would really like to go, as everyone knows, we want to help Sally. So my plan would be to go there and get a feel of the race. I've been out there and I've watched it before, but I haven't crewed and paced someone out there. So I'd like to get that vibe and really check it out before I go back and give it a shot. And I think as far as my racing schedule goes this year, it's going to be faster type stuff. So training for a 100-miler is going to take a little bit different training, and I'm not prepared right now to do that type of training.
So you're thinking 2015?
Yeah,
yes, for sure. I want it to be my first 100-miler at Western States.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no, I won't take it. I'd like to go and really experience it with all of you guys and help Sally. And Sally, we want her to do well. So
yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Whatever we can do to help and yeah. So I may even go out for 2 weeks. I might go out with Mike Aish 2 weeks before in camp. So.
And actually, speaking of Mike Aish, he is in Tarawera this weekend.
Yeah,
right?
man. I think
He's
he could.
Tarawera?
Yeah, I think he could win it, man.
I honestly think it's going to be between him and Sage. I think the two of them are going to run their asses off, and I think Aish has some tricks up his sleeve. Sage is in Hocus now, so who knows? He could be running faster too.
You need to read Aish's newest blog post. He ran 360 miles in 11 days.
What?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be tired?
His plan is he did that, and he's gonna have like a 2-week rest period leading up to. Either he'll be completely trashed, or
360 and 11.
That is bonkers. That is bonkers.
Hold on, I'm gonna do some Asian math here. That's
he did a 40-mile day. Oh man, it's a good.
He averaged 32 miles in a day.
Yeah.
For 11 days.
So what his plan is? He has been a runner his whole life. He ran for the New Zealand Olympic team. He's like a 27-minute something 10K or some shit like that. Super fast. So he knows what it's like to do a training camp. So what his plan was is to go out there, and as we know, he's from New Zealand, so he knows the area really well. But he will run in the morning, he'll take a 2-3 hour nap during the day, and then go back and run again. But he also did like a 4x10 mile tempo. So he would go out and run, he ran 10 miles. Yeah. So he'll either be completely done or he's going to be a monster. So
that's going to be really interesting to see, because he's doing, I don't want to say the opposite of what most training is, but he's logged a huge chunk of mileage in a short period of time, taking 2 weeks off, or lesser mileage, and then going into a race that is it a 100-miler or is it a 100K?
It's a 100K.
100K, yeah.
And it's like a soft kind of 100K. Like people were saying, if you had to run a barefoot 100K, this is the one that you don't, because there's like pine and
soft like plant life.
Soft, yeah, it's like really soft. It's not rocky. I think he can do really well, man, and I think he's going to do well at States too.
I mean, I think he's also another force this year for sure to be reckoned with.
Yeah. He's like really going after it this year. So, and he's never been hurt in his life. He's never been injured once.
He's bonked. He's obviously crashed and burned.
He has.
I want to say that's kind of his calling card, at least from the last couple of years. But I just remember that when he came from the road world into the ultra world, and he was, a lot of talk, but then he had that performance. It was like a bonk pretty early on in a big race. And
talking about Leadville.
Yeah, talking about Leadville.
Yeah.
And then you see Sean O'Brien, he's just no big deal, running his ass off. When he passed me running the 50K, he was just barely breathing, and he was just flying by. I think this is a big year.
And I chatted to him about that. I mean, he will admit that he made a lot of mistakes. He had no idea that he was really getting into, and he's learned from that. And he's very eager to learn from other people too. So we bounce a lot of stuff off of each other. We're very like-minded in a weird kind of way. It's we really love to train, and he really loves to train. So it should be good. It'll be interesting. I honestly think he'll win it.
Yeah, I have a little thing inside my head that's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Another thing in the chat room, this is a long time ago, Ginger, this is from Jeff Allen. Ginger, how was your lead up to Squamish last year? Have you learned anything that will help you towards this year's goals? Leading up to Squamish last year, and Chris, we'll talk about this with you in a second because I know that you might be going, might not be going. Squamish for me last year was, I didn't know what to expect, and then I went in there completely mind blown as far as how much more difficult the course was than I anticipated. But going into it, I ran a lot in mountains with technical terrain. I knew it was going to be technical because everyone told me it was technical. The website says it's technical, so I hadn't had any technical ultra experience up until that point. So when I was running leading up to it, Billy, I did a lot with Billy. We did a lot of training on the AC course. I don't say a lot of training, but a couple runs out there on the AC 100 course, the San Gabriel Mountains out here in Southern California, which have some technical sections. Mount Baldy has good technical sections. Baden-Powell has some good technical sections. But then you're also dealing with altitude, so it has these other factors that Squamish doesn't have. So I tried to recreate that course as much as possible in Southern California, which is kind of impossible because what I realized is that course, Squamish, is the most technical terrain I've ever experienced, and it's just different. It's rocky, yes, but it's far more roots, rocky trail, wet trails, muddy trails, steep trails. There's just so many other factors going into what makes those trails really difficult that the only way to really train for that particular course is to train there. So the best advice for if you are running that race, 50K, 23K, or the 50 miler, is to run the most technical up and down terrain you possibly can where you live. Going into this year, I'm doing the 50 mile followed by the 50K is going to be a stupid idea.
It's gonna be hard, man.
You're in no position to poo-poo what Aish is doing when you're doing shit like that. That's crazy.
I mean, I realize that. Like, I'm not going to say by any means I'm going to do it fast, because I think there's a couple people that are also doing the 50-50 that are very fast runners. My goal is just to finish and alive. I think finish alive. I should add that. It'll be the same sort of training as far as where I'm running leading up to that race, but I think it's going to be a lot more volume on those same trails. Luckily, Billy is actually running AC 100 this year, and I have the duties of pacing him for a certain section of it. So we'll be doing a lot of training out on that course, getting in those technical trails, dealing with all these elements that will, I know, help me down the road for Squamish. So I'm really, really excited about that, because going into Squamish, knowing I'm going to be doing 80 miles of the most technical terrain that I've experienced is going to be it's going to be insane. So I'm really excited.
Think how much more fit you've become, though, and how much stronger you will get up until that point, too, though. I think you'll be fine. It's going to be hard, but...
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it'll be
a journey.
A big journey for you, for sure.
Okay, so, go ahead, Billy.
No, I have a similar race coming up, Zane Gray 50 in April 28th. which every race report scares the shit out of me, and it's kind of heralded as the toughest 50-miler in the States anyway, and I like that. I like it when a race scares the shit out of me, just like Angeles Crest scares the shit out of me, because it makes me respect it. It makes me, the days when I'm just like want to be like, fuck it, I'd rather just go get breakfast and enjoy the beach or something. I have to get out there in the mountains. I have to put in the time, and so like Zane Grey. I mean, here, I'm gonna turn my computer around real quick. You guys have seen this because you've been to my place. I'll have, of course, like just a reminder. This is Zane Grey. This is AC 100. These are the splits. This is the elevation. But I have that as a constant reminder, like, hey, dummy, you have these big-ass races coming up that scares you. Go out there and put in the work so you can be. Yeah. And that was the case with Spico last year. So.
Yeah.
Constant motivation. Now, Chris, you're signed up to do the Squamish 50-miler. I know that you're still working out your schedule for the end of the year. Have you done any training for this race, or have you made any plans about this race or anything, or? For
Squamish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, from what I know of it, is from you. And I saw the video that you made, and it looks pretty gnarly. I think when you add, like, slippery and technical together, that's like that's a recipe for disaster,
like Hurt 100.
Yeah, you have to train on that stuff. So, however you do that, I live in arid desert, so it's fairly dry here. But yeah, find some techie stuff and run on it. Yeah, so my schedule's pretty loaded there at the end of the year, and they moved UROC to the beginning of September, so that screws up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
I may be going to France in October now too.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, cool. Ethan, you're getting a lot of breaking news here. What's going on in France?
You never know when you talk. You never know when you talk to Chris what you're gonna get, because it's always and I just signed a Nike. By the way, like wait what?
and we talk to this guy like every freaking day.
Well, this was like new. I just got home today, and I was racing over the weekend, so I didn't really get to talk about it. Brian Powell brought it up to me, the race director of this race in France. It's like one of the oldest trail races in France, like Templiers. I don't know what it is. October 26th, I believe. But there's like a festival leading into it. But anyway, the race director wants it to be like Europeans versus the world kind of thing. So they're trying to get a bunch of Americans to come over and race. So from what I understand, this dude, he will pay for the flight, he will pay for your housing, and he will pay for your food to come out. But he wants you to be fully prepared to race hard and make it just like a badass race. There's like 2,500 people that do it or something like that.
Jesus,
that's
like €5,000 for the win. But anyway, there's that, and then 2 weeks later is Sierras and all. So I might go out there and do that.
Damn, European racer Chris Vargo dropping some info on us.
So that
obviously nothing is confirmed.
Nothing is confirmed. The seed has been kind of planted. I haven't heard anything yet back. So, but I think Joe Gray that runs for Scott, he was trying to get me out there too, and I think it's the same race. So it could be. It sounds pretty cool. He just wants to make sure that you're not running 100-miler like a month before you race it. He wants people to be like fresh and just ready to beat the shit out of each other. So
Vargo, you've already got the do. You just have to work on your trekking pole skills and and clearly you're French.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were trying to say.
It's a 42-mile race with like 12,000 feet of gain.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or maybe it was more than that. Something pretty hefty. So kind of like Speed Goat, but I think a little bit more technical. And then Sierras and all is like super mountain race. So
yeah. We got a question from Mike Ralph in the chat room. Did you guys keep training logs, or do you keep training logs? What we were talking about data a little bit a second ago with Strava. I think by using Strava, that's my personal mileage log. Like now they have this cool training feature where you can actually look week to week to week and look at your training and see the volume and see, speed and stuff like that. I think that's a kind of they're changing the website a little bit more geared towards runners and doing that week to week training, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
And I've been using that more than keeping a diary or anything. Chris, you might be dealing with something different because you're working with Ian as a coach, and he might already have you scheduled with mileage in a certain capacity. And Billy, you I think are working with Sally a little bit as well. But for me, I always like to work by the weeks that I see on Strava as far as.
Yeah, I think Strava has a good platform, so it's easy. You just plug in, and it keeps track of everything. And I will make little notes on the side of the training that Ian gives me every once in a while, but mostly I kind of, in my description of the run on Strava, I kind of put something like, I feel like shit, or I felt really good, just to get kind of an idea. So
I love that about Chris. Just a brutal, like, no bullshit honesty. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, why be like all, my run was great today, like bullshit. That's not true. Not everyone you don't have a good run every day.
I would say that my ratio from bad to good runs is favors having more frequently than good runs. Like I might have one good run every 2 weeks or something. I mean, I don't know if that's just me and because I'm a different type of runner, but maybe every 2 weeks I'll get a run. I'm like, oh, finally it feels like I'm getting all this shit together. I'm figuring it out. Yeah. And then I'll go for like 2 weeks of just, I felt like crap, garbage, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, everyone's so different, but yeah, not everyone has a good day every day. If you do, I want to meet you, and you're also a lying piece of shit.
Hey, Ethan, I have a quick follow-up for Vargo. When we were talking about feeling like crap, and when you're feeling a lull and unmotivated, what gets you out the door? Like when you're tired, you have to put in a second run, you have to put in a longish, mid-long run in the middle of the week. Like, how do you get out the door?
I like to think that, everyone else is out there training, so you have to get out and train. So I picture those guys out ripping around in the mountains, and that usually gets me motivated. If I'm having like a very hard day where it's hard for me to get out the door, in the winter it's hard. In the summer, it's like you just roll out of bed and just throw shorts on, no shirt, and just roll out, feel good. But in the winter, sometimes it takes a little bit more motivation. I'll even throw on like your guys' videos that you've made. Those usually get me going, get me pumped up to get out and go. Watching, reading blogs and stuff like that, listening to music.
Yeah, I think we should actually talk about motivation in a future episode of Ginger Runner Live. I think that's a really good question just to ask people who, like Chris, for example, you as a professional elite athlete, and especially with Sally, who I wish was here, but she's in the chat room. Hello, Sally. But talking to pro athletes and where they find their motivation, because I'm assuming it comes from the same sources as us. Maybe it comes from somewhere different. So I think good. That's a good future episode.
That would be a good episode for sure.
We had someone in the chat room. The last comment says, Hyag09, Ethan, do you run every day? And I'm going to let this go to the group as well. And this will be one of the last questions we ask because we're already going into a long, long post show. Yeah. I do not run every day. I take Mondays off, and sometimes I take Friday off, depending on how I feel. And if there's a day where I'm just not going to run, I'll take that day off too. But if it's borderline run or whatever, like a Friday, it'll either be a medium distance run, just like a real easy run, or it's a indoor bike trainer day. So I'll even hop on the bike and ride 30, 40, 50 minutes. Or something
active recovery. Yeah.
Active recovery, yeah, depending on how I feel that week. So I'm active 6 days a week, not necessarily running 6 days a week. What about you, Chris?
I usually do 1 day off every 2 weeks. But I will go out and like hike the dog. I don't just kind of lay around. It all depends on what Ian gives me. I think it's good. you have to take a day off every once in a while. There's people that do these streaks, you know. I just don't think that's good.
300 miles in 11 days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, when he's home and just training here, he'll take he'll only run 5 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Billy, what about you?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of it'll be interesting leading up to Angeles Crest and even Zane Grey. I mean, there's going to be I'm going to have to do a lot of volume, so taking days off will be a rare luxury. As it stands right now, when I'm kind of like in between running 50Ks, running a road marathon, I'm probably closer to you, Ethan, where I take a day, actually dedicate a day. Speaking of active recovery, to go to the gym. I mean, I hate the gym. You hear me bitch about going to the gym a lot, but I make myself go to the gym. I'll get in some core work. I'll get in some strength exercises. Shout out to you, Sally, because it's I hear her voice. You need a strong body to be able to run out there for hours on end. You have to be overall head to toe like fit. So I'll keep that in mind, but yeah, for the most part, I am probably running somewhere between 5 and 6 days a week, and then for a 50 miler, for a 100K, for a 100 miler, I'm sure that'll go way up, double days and shit like that.
Yeah, I actually need to talk to Sally. She has a great YouTube channel, and I want to talk to her more about creating videos, because that's where you're succeeding, Billy, and like the gym is where I'm failing. I do such terrible workouts when it comes to regular cross-training stuff, lifting, pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, like all the core work and stuff like that. I'm such a slacker, and I hate it because just watching some of the footage back from the LA Marathon, I'm like, oh my God. You look at Billy, who's just ripped running, and it turns to me and it's like, oh, just soft, pillowy, ginger, light-skinned marshmallow man running. It's like, it's just disgusting. And I hate it. I hate running 50 miles and then looking at video or looking at footage and going, you're a big boy running that long. You should be fit. You should be running faster. And I know that doing that kind of work, the core work and the strength training, it can only help benefit my body. So I would really like to talk to Sally. I know she's in the chat room, but
well, Ethan,
I want to do like a ginger runner series where she comes in and she rips me apart, like makes me fit.
You gotta go to the gym with her. She'd kick the shit out of you.
I was gonna say, dude, like you gotta get your ass down to South Bay, or at least closer to South Bay. We're, me and our buddies Colin and Dave, we're gonna try to keep each other accountable because we're all three of us are doing Angeles Crest, where Colin kind of cleared out his garage, and we're gonna try to start incorporating more plyometrics and core work, and just doing the stuff that would normally be boring solo. But if we kind of hold each other accountable, and you're welcome to join us whenever. I mean, we're gonna try to do this to keep our overall body stronger, to keep it from breaking down, and to be stronger runners.
Yeah, you're seeing more people do that kind of a lot of run. I know like Rob Crar, I've seen pictures of him with buddies. Like they'll go out into the street and have like the circuit set up with kettlebells and all sorts of shit just to maintain that strength. And I'm bad about it too, man. I like running. It's easy to get out and go do it, but it's like you come back and you're like, core. Do I really want to do core right now?
Yeah.
It's like a pain in the ass. But yeah, if you have that accountability with other people, I mean, there's really no excuse. So,
well, I mean, maybe I can even use this forum as keeping me accountable as well, and documenting the transformation weekly. Doing something like that. But Sally, you and I have talked about it as far as she's in the chat room, so she's watching live. But I've talked to you about it and getting you to rip me up. So maybe what we can do is actually work on a Sally kills Ginger training series.
That'd be badass.
She's the most ripped female I know. I think those videos would not only help me, but I think it would help the viewers, because someone else said this recently. My friend Dan up in Oregon was talking about fat 50ers, people who run 50 milers, but they're fat. I'm not saying I'm fat. That is not what I'm saying. But you see it out there. You see large people who are able to do these amazing distances, and they're totally fit, and they're able to do these distances and rock it. But there's something that they're not doing, whether it's a nutrition thing or it's the core workout stuff that can only benefit them by either helping them lose the weight so they can run faster, further with less energy. But someone coined that term, and I was like, I hate the fact that that term exists, but I think it's maybe a sign that we can all constantly be better. And rather than focusing all of our attention on just running and just going further, maybe we can also focus some of that energy on getting fitter, working on the whole body rather than just the quads and the hamstrings and the calves, Yeah. So I think Sally bringing you in and doing some sort of series, we can do it on Ginger Runner. We can do it that links to your channel because you have a whole great series of videos that I know that you and Billy have been working on that are really specific, really good stuff. So maybe we can work on that because I think that'll benefit everybody. Ginger Shred. Yeah. Christopher Holloway is calling it Ginger Shred. I think that's hilarious. Mm-hmm. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're getting towards the end of our live stream here, guys, just because we're long. We're super long tonight. We went long last week. We're going extra long tonight. I know that we're dealing a lot with the post show. We're 2+ at this point. Yeah, we're 2+, easy. So for those of you who are watching on demand, if you've made it this far, amazing. Amazing. I hope that this is like podcast format, so maybe you're listening to this on a long run or something like that. But I want to make some shout-outs to people in the chat room. Michael, Christopher, Hieg09, we had a lot, Andy, Adam, Phantom Freak. We had a lot of people in the chat room that were watching the whole time, so I really very much appreciate it. If you are still watching, do not forget that we're here every single Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I need to thank the people who joined us tonight and gave you guys tons of valuable information that will only help you. First of all, Chris Vargo, congratulations on your Way Too Cool first place.
Thank you.
Thanks. You got it, man. We appreciate you dropping by Ginger Runner Live. We'll hope to see you next Monday.
Yeah, for
sure.
Yeah.
Billy Yang, thank you for running 15 miles of LA Marathon with me, and thanks for being awesome on the live chat as well.
Dude, all about the community, right? All about friends. At the end of the day, it's not about how quick you are. I mean, no offense, Vargo, but like Vargo is a great guy. He's a great example of someone who's like also fast and also is a really good dude, and we enjoy spending time with each other. So it's really about that. I know that sounds kind of corny, but it really is. It's about the friendships you make along the way. And
no, I
shared hobby, yeah. So that's my way of signing off. Thanks for having me, Ethan.
Yeah, you got it. Of course. But I totally agree. And a whole part of Ginger Runner Live is to bring the community together. I mean, we're lucky to have people like Chris who are a pro and elite athlete who are completely approachable and are answering questions like no big deal. I mean, that's what's great about the trail running community in general is that even the elites are just regular dudes and they just want to talk and they just want to hang out. And I think that's really great. And having the SoCal run crew is just a blessing. Having this group of friends that are like-minded and really love training and really love hanging out with each other and spending time on the trails. I think it's awesome. It's really super beneficial.
We really fucking lucked out. I mean, everyone's like Josh, Colin, Dave, you, Sally, Chris. I mean, we all love spending time with each other, and it just so happens that we're runners too.
Yeah, totally agree. So again,
pretty cool. For sure.
Says the Colorado boy. Says the Colorado boy.
No, it's cool, man. I've turned in. I mean, you guys have turned into good friends, so it's sweet. Fuck you.
Yeah, I was gonna say great finish. You gotta finish it with Chris style, and I think great way to go. Yeah. So we hope to see you all here next week. Continue to promote this. This will be on demand almost instantly. You'll be able to just refresh the page and watch it from the beginning if you want to watch it again. But we'll have everything on demand here within the next couple of hours. So if you find it and you watch it later this week, please share it. It's the only thing that can help this channel grow and grow and grow and help the entire community. We'll see you guys next week for Ginger Runner Live, 6 p.m. Pacific on Monday. In the meantime, stick around. Train, race, beer. Peace.